All my life I wanted to sleep in the bathtub.
And all this was in Astoria, no?
Astoria, Long Island.
What time you had to start in the morning? You know?
7 in the morning we had to get there.
Were you living in Brooklyn at the time, too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Be up with the birds, the chickens.
No, it was, I know that. That's pretty interesting. I'm in the house of Sydelle Slewette, who was Julie in the films with Gardel. Sydelle, it's very nice to be here in your house, and I appreciate the time you give me for this interview. Okay. We've been listening to some records of Gardel, and we have a very nice time remembering the time you were in the films. Do you recall when you were in the studios with Gardel and the films you made?
Yes, I do. Certainly is happy memories, and I feel as though Gardell is still alive. Uh, I thought very much of him. He was a wonderful person, and I liked him very much, and he was just a nice person to be with, and a natural sort of person that didn't put on any airs, and was a perfect gentleman.
In the film Del Tango on Broadway, you were Julie, is that correct?
That's right.
There were four girls, as I recall, Mary, Peggy, Betty, Julie, and you were Julie,
I was
right?
Julie.
Do you remember how were you chosen for the film?
Well, this is a very peculiar incident. I was at the casting office when the casting director came over to me, and I never knew him before, maybe saw him once when I left my picture, and he said to me, would you mind stepping into this office? And I did. I sat down, and I just waited. And to this day, I don't know why he selected me to sit from 100 girls at least waiting to be selected. However, they all appeared, the director, the scenario writer, Alfred LaPera, Carlos Gardel, and the agent was standing there in this room, and I was still sitting, and nobody even paid attention to me. When the director, he was a French director, said to the agent, I would like to have 5 girls that could speak Spanish, blondes. Well, I figured, well, I'm finished. However, he came back and he said, I can't find one that could speak Spanish. I said to myself, well, we must be awfully ignorant. Well, after a while, this director looks at me and says, well, what is she doing here? He said, well, she's one of the girls that I thought would be nice for your picture. And he asked La Pera in Spanish if I would do. And he said, oui, oui. Well, that's the only word I know in French. And I became excited, and I was selected as the girl, as Julie in the picture. That's about all as far as the, what would you call it, interview went on, and then the rest, when I had to start work, and which was very exciting for me, as this was really my first picture that I did. I didn't know what to expect, and we were told that we were to wear only brasiers and panties for the part. I went out and got myself a beautiful pair. We got on the set. The director started telling us what to do. We went, the makeup man started working on our bodies. When I remember a little incident, a woman was chaperoning her daughter, and she said to this man, Don't you feel that personal when you touch a girl's body? Oh, come on, he says. They're all like a piece of wood as far as I'm concerned. No sooner did he say that when somebody comes in and says, sorry, girls, put your slips on. Well, we had to put our slips on. Then they came in again and said, sorry, girls, put your dresses on. That's after getting myself a nice pair of brassiere and panties. I had to put my dress on to cover that up. Well, it was a lot of fun, and then we started making the picture. And they selected the girls for the different various parts. However, it seems that they asked me whether I wouldn't mind if I slept in the bathtub in one of my scenes. So naturally, why should I object? All my life I wanted to sleep in the bathtub, and this is a good opportunity for me. And I slept in the bathtub. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it very much. But this is very funny. In one part, they took a, what do you call it, a close-up of me. And the director had everything set. The man was ready to run the film when all of a sudden, as he says, roll, and I'm still getting into action. The films fall on the floor, and it was a mess. The director became hysterical. I don't have to tell you the temperament of the French. Seeing that, to me it was very humorous, and I started to laugh, which got him more furious. However, they did the film, and the scene was taken. So much for that.
Were you in any other films after that, Sydelle?
Yes, I did another picture with Carlos Gardel, but I can't remember that. Probably it wasn't too important for me. I can't remember it too well. Also did some pictures with Melvin Douglas, Preston Foster, and Lila Lee. But the best picture and the most impressive picture that remained in my memory was doing this picture, La Tango on Broadway with Carlos Gardel. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And the memory of Gardel will always live in my mind. I have records of Gardel. I speak of him constantly. I feel as though he's alive, he's somewhere where I could just get it. If I was able to reach him on the telephone, to me he's not dead, his soul is alive, strictly alive. And I feel a lot of people feel the same way about the way I do about him.
You that knew him personally, what type of a man he was?
Well, I think he was the swellest man I've met. I mean, I could just see him. To me, he looked 25 years old, and then when I was told he's 44, I couldn't believe it. He was courteous, he was debonair, and he was just a nice person.
Did he speak in English at all?
Well, he spoke English very poorly, but he spoke English.
And did you speak any Spanish?
No, I didn't, but we understood each other very well.
What do you recall about his personality and his voice?
He had a beautiful voice. I'll never forget his voice.
Did he actually sing in the films?
Oh, yes, he sang, and he sang very well. If he was living today, I think he would be a second Rudolph Valentino.
Do you recall any other anecdotes on the set or off the set?
Not particularly, no. I think I've told you everything I knew.
Did you ever went out with a group with Lepera
Yes,
and Gardel?
oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Especially Lepera, I mean. He was very fond of me, and I liked him. He was a perfect gentleman, and we had some very nice times together.
Do you recall that time in a previous conversation you told me Lepera was receiving a friend from from England, and they wanted to get a
Oh,
date. Do you
yes,
recall
this
that?
is really funny. Lepera had made a date, wanted me to make a date with some man that he expected to come in from England, and he asked me if I would get a very nice girl, attractive girl for him. Well, I was that type of person that always wanted somebody else to enjoy themselves. And there was a girl living in my neighborhood that wasn't, I wouldn't say attractive, but she was a clever girl and a nice girl. And I thought, well, I'll take her along with me, let her see what it is to be with celebrities. However, when I got to the place and I walked in and I introduced them, well, this man was a very handsome man that he had a long, I don't know, he must have been some celebrity too. I don't recall his name. And when I introduced them, Lepere asked to see me in another room, and when I got there, he was very much annoyed with me, saying, well, couldn't I do better in selecting a girl? I said, well, I didn't know the type of man he was in the first place. If I had known, I would have made a better choice. But I didn't think it made a difference. We were all going out and having a good time, and the company is the most important thing. He says, well, no, he says, every man likes an attractive girl, and if I didn't think, he said, I think you're he liked me very much, but he says, if I wasn't attractive, he wouldn't even look at me. Well, I think I was flattered. So, however, I said, well, he said, well, I'll tell you, he says, I will give the girl car fare, taxi money to go back home. I said, well, I'm sorry, Lepera. If I can't have this friend with me, I'll have to go home with her because I don't do these things. I don't think I'd like to hurt anybody. It isn't fair. It's only a matter of one evening. We really can make the best of it. Well, he saw it my way, and we went out, and we really had a nice time. And that was a very, one of the incidents I had with Alfred Lepera.
After these films, did you think of continuing on the becoming an actress? Or
Well, to tell you the truth, after this happened and after this thing happened and I worked in a few other films, well, I never took it too seriously because I really had to make a living and after this accident, I seem to have lost interest in going back to the studios because I know that Carlos Gardel had some contracts with Hollywood, and he told me that when they got back, they would get in touch with me, and perhaps something would have happened.
So they really like you then?
Yes, they liked me. I don't know why, but they liked me.
Where were these films made, Sydelle?
At Astoria, Long Island.
I see. That was the Paramount
Studios.
Right. Do you recall any incidents during the filming of your part on El Tango Broadway?
The car, well, the only thing is there was one scene that he had to drive a car, and we 5 girls were in the car. We were a little bit nervous as we found out that Carlos Gardel does not drive a car, and he had to drive about 20 feet. So naturally, we were just a little bit nervous.
You told me before that you didn't have much interest in continuing in the movie business because you actually wanted to make make a living, of course. How much were you paid for this for the parts in the film?
I don't think we were paid more than between $7 and $10. I don't remember. It was between $7 and $10.
Is that per day?
Per day, and that's supposed to be pretty good at that time.
How long did your part?
I really don't know how long it lasted.
Well, now I would like to ask you, when and how did you learn about the death of Gardel?
Well, after the picture was made, I took a trip to Chicago to visit with some cousins. And one day reading the paper, it was a great shock to me. That was a journal, and it was the greatest shock of my life when I read that. Then several friends sent me in articles about his death, which I already had been informed before that. And it was a very big shock. It's hard to explain. It was a great shock to me, especially not only working with the person, but after socializing with them.
You told me previously that something I think is very touching, that when you learn about Gardel's death, to you was somewhat like learning of John F. Kennedy's death.
That's right. I felt the same way. In fact, I feel the same way about the two deaths. I mean, and John F. Kennedy's death I'll never get over it. And I feel I'll never get over Carlos Gardel's death. And I feel the same way about the two of them.
Sydelle, do you think if Gardel had survived the accident, had not died, do you think he would have become another Valentino or Chevalier?
Definitely, without a doubt.
From a woman's point of view, how do you think Gardel would have impressed the American women?
The same way Chevalier and Ruta Valentino did. Maybe better, who knows?
Well, Sydelle, I appreciate very much the time you have given me. It has been to me a great privilege and honor to make this interview with you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed this.
I have next to me, on one side, the mother of Sydelle Slewette and the daughter, which is uniting three generations. Now I would like to ask both of them a few words about Sydelle and her part in the film. I'm talking now to the mother of Sydelle. What do you recall, Mrs. Slewette, about
I remember she came home once. She says, you know, Mother, Gardel is flying back to Spain. Where is it?
Actually, he was going to South America.
South America, yeah. So he said to me, if you would able to speak Spanish, we will take you to make a picture there. So it's understood. And I said, oh, I'm glad you don't, because we don't want you should go away so far from us. So she said, well, I hope I should. Of course, they're very nice people. Both of them, Gardel and Lepera. They're very nice and they're gently, you know, with parents years ago. Children used to come and talk about movies, about theater, about actors. So they used to right away, oh no, I wouldn't like you should be an actress. Or I wouldn't like you to be on the stage. But we was so, and it's understood. Then we understood, of course, that's not, we're not so whatsoever from the old world. We should think so much of it. Of course, not only first person gets, or so many people get actresses or singers and theaters, but we understood. We were a little modern, not so, and say, well, that's a thing what it can be. You can't speak Spanish, and you'll have to remain here. And then happened with, and then she said to us, now she said, I don't know if I'll go to look for another a picture to make with somebody. Of course, I haven't got any contacts. But I had a picture, she made a picture to give them voice. They want voice a picture to see how she looks on the photograph. So I know that picture cost $25, and we looked wrong on it. $25 to spend on a picture to go to show to the what do you call them,
the casting office?
No, not the casting. They call agents.
The agents.
Yeah. Well, she said, sometimes shall be paid. Anyway, she did it, and she looked beautiful on the picture. And then happened in a month, in a month or so, what we heard on the news, it happened with them, the airplane crashed. And we felt very bad about it. Of course, we felt already like he would be somebody from the family, you know, because we looked always on the pictures, and he just like we know him from years ago. So we felt very bad about it until this day. It's so many years. And whenever I look on the pictures and I see him there, and I felt very bad about it.
I guess in a way you felt glad that your daughter didn't go in the tour with Gardel after all.
It's understood. We felt, you know, when we heard it happened, these things, so we said to each other, to my husband, I say, oh, thanks God. It's our fate not to know Spanish, to be alive. So, but listen, times happen like this from years. That's already since when we have the airplane. I don't remember. Well, that was very from beginning. When it happened with them, it's very from beginning was. But it's a thing what it hurts. Ever you remind yourself, people who you know, it hurts.
Do you remember the day when your daughter came home telling you that she was going to star in this film, that he had been chosen for this film with Gardel?
Yeah. There was, you know, we had something not unbelievable. What could happen, of course. All right, she was all in this, in the Mark Fabian's book she was posing, and many times she was as an extra. They took in some films. She as an extra used to go for a day. I remember how much a day, $8.
Oh, she was in extras
others,
in the films before.
Not only, in films before as an extra.
And prior to that, she had been modeling. She had done some modeling.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we used to it already. We know she'll get it. If she'll go somewhere, she'll get it. Of course, she's always, you know, her personality and her looks.
Right.
She will always know.
Indeed, she did.
And she did got it. Wherever she went, she got it.
And now I would like to ask a few words to the daughter of Sydelle. What is your name, please?
Eleanor.
Eleanor. Now, what would you tell me about your mother? How do you feel about your mother having been in this film and having known Gardel?
Well, I think it's great. She is constantly talking about him and playing his record, and every opportunity she gets, she shows the pictures to various people. Just from the way that she talks, I could see that he was both a great actor and a great person to know and to be with.
You haven't seen any of his films yet, or at least a film where your mother is in, have you?
No, I haven't. I've just seen the pictures that she has, and perhaps someday the pictures will come back and I will see it.
Well, I have promised your mother that as soon as I learn when this film will be in New York, I'll let her know, and perhaps you will go and see it and see your mother in the film.
Oh, definitely.
It will be
doubt.
thrilling for you
Yes.
to see your mother in the film.
Yes.
Well, thank you both very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.